Hey, welcome into this edition of the GASO cast. We are live and remote and all types of things. Incredible first round. We're going to go through the bracket region by region. We're going to break them up into small clips. Welcome in, Blue and Timmins. Say what's up, fellas.
Hey man, we're remote because in Texas, if it gets cold and rainy, everybody freaks out. So we're not gonna test the storm out there, even though there's not much going on. But we can't wait to be back in the studio. But I'm excited to talk about this first round of playoffs.
No
There,
doubt,
yeah.
no doubt. We have all the brackets live on our website, greatamericanshootout.com. If you want to keep up with all the scores, we're going to flash them a little bit here, but we're going to go ahead and jump into some regions.
So yeah, let's go ahead and start in 5A, Region 1. Right off the bat, if we're looking at, some of the favorites that handled business, Amarillo took care of Lubbock Cooper. You have Timberview handled Fort Worth Southwest. And Mass, I kind of want you to get started. 2 wins. Birdville got a win, and Mansfield Legacy, and they'll meet up in that second round.
Yeah.
Kind of talk about your thoughts with that game.
Yeah, they're playing at UTA on Friday night, 6:30. I'm really looking forward to attending that one. We were discussing before the show, Mike, that essentially these are two very, very talented teams, and it's unfortunate. You were kind of doing your thing on Twitter talking about how the first round really isn't that sweet. Well, the second round,
My district ain't that sweet. Area round isn't that sweet. And kind of what that means is these teams both have deep playoff run aspirations and talent to match. They both can advance based on this bracket, so it ain't sweet right now. So something's got to give. But it's a very intriguing second matchup that I'm glad you'll be able to be at, man.
yeah, it'll be really good. Tons of talent, and then if you win, you got to play the winner of Mansfield Timberview Grapevine. So that's a nice little gift. So you got to really earn regionals in that little quadrant there. Blue, we know you had some conversation with coaches. What are you seeing going on in this bracket?
Well, just to add to Timmins is Mansfield. Some people are the people that are taking care of business are taking care of business as you can pinpoint little wins here and there. Summit, Denton Ryan, Richland. I think the surprising one, if you look at it from a standpoint of seeds, Fort Worth ODY got knocked off by which was the 1 seed, got knocked off by Arlington Seguin last night, and it was 57-45 score. So, hey, Seguin comes from a tough district, with Legacy and with Timberview there. So, maybe shouldn't be a total surprise after what they had to go through in conference. But hey, Canyon Randall, they had a really nice win last night at in the final last seconds of the game, and we got via Twitter. Randall head coach Leslie Broadhurst pointed us to the to this film that this clip that you're about to see on the game winner from his guard KJ Thomas.
Pretty ridiculous.
That's playoff basketball for sure.
Yeah, you stole the words, Michael, because Randall was down by 5 with a minute and a half to go, and so they went to their sophomore stud, KJ Thomas. He's been doing it all year. He has 752 points this season. The school record is 754, so he's going to break that. He's already broken the 3-point record with 126. The previous record was 115, so he's just going to continue to add as he gets further down the line. And so that shot that we just witnessed, that 28 footer, came with right around a second to go. Cooper threw a desperation shot that just wasn't gonna go in. Their next opponent is El Paso Andres. That they're a solid group. You got to look at their stud Isaac Padilla, who averages in the double digits, can go inside out. And so, Coach Broadhurst is looking at a ton of film this morning already. He's trying to get ready for that team, El Paso Andres, and he's going at game by game. So he's figuring out the game plan right now as we speak on here. And it's just, this is what the playoffs is about. You don't know how the story's going to unfold. You don't know what 28 footers are going to go in, how people win throughout this whole tournament. I mean, y'all y'all have both lived through it, making your own little playoff runs and when y'all are in high school. So it's just such a fun time of the year for me, and to see everything kind of just like open up and see what happens.
Yeah, looking here more at the bracket, Denton Ryan gets a big win over Alito. One I want to look at. Then let's move back into West Texas. I mean, we've all seen it now. KJ Lewis picks up his 5th foul on, El Paso Chapin wins the game by nearly 20, but KJ Lewis picks up his 5th foul on a maybe questionable offensive foul call. Gets his second, gets ejected from the eject means that you have to miss next game, which will be area. So kind of talk about, obviously when you have KJ Lewis, probably the best prospect in West Texas, one of them, that's a big loss. And, with a quick turnaround play, I don't know when they play, either tomorrow or Friday, that's going to impact this region right away.
Yeah, I picked Chapin to maybe make their run this year behind KJ Lewis. This changes a lot of things, I think, going into even the second round. And so how's Antoine Holmes going to step up? Goldsmith, like who are they going to pinpoint to go get to make up those points that they're going to lack? And so this changes a little bit of that dynamic of that first those 8 teams right there. Sorry, the 4 that are left now. So we got to play it out on Friday.
That's the beautiful part of the playoffs. It just
absolutely
you have to go play and compete.
And I think just to wrap up, this region, looking down at that bottom right quadrant, whoever can get through between Birdville, Legacy, Grapevine, and Mansfield Timberview are going to be feeling very, very good about themselves, being able to get through that gauntlet of an area right there. So I'm excited to see those matchups take place.
Yeah. Anything else you're looking forward to? I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I'm trying to pinpoint that Mansfield Summit Amarillo game. Like, oh man, it's a must-see TV.
No, absolutely.
All right, fellas, that's going to wrap up Region 1. Welcome back. We are talking 5A Region 2. A lot happened last night. We got to see some of this stuff, but one of the games that we have been mentioning, that Kimball-Hillcrest game was a really, really fun, like just on paper, you have these super freshmen. You have Arterio Morris, Trey Clayton, Chauncey Gibson, Tijon Brown, all these dudes. And it's an interesting dynamic to see how this really young team is going to go in and face a Kimball.
Yeah. You could be looking at the wave of the future in Dallas ISD. And they were very confident going into the game. They kept the pace up with Kimball. Hillcrest did, but then it got away. Paul Miranda tweeted that it became a dunk fest in the third quarter as Kimball started increasing their lead.
And
let me flash.
One thing I
was going to say, let me flash that bracket for you.
Oh yeah, go ahead and look at it.
My bad.
Hey, we're live. We're live. Anything can happen.
One thing I like about Kimball that you see in round 1 is that they're so versatile this year, maybe even more so last year, with their ability to match up with whatever you can throw at them. And for this example, freshman Mike Williams, who's a stud, you can throw Tijon Brown out and match him with speed and be able to go at each other right there. They might face other teams with size. They have the size to match. They have the athleticism on the wing. So for Kimball to go in there, win by 20, and try to take away what you do best shows the maturity and the growth of that team. And man, they're poised to, make a big run and a big statement.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I went to Prosper Rock Hill versus Frisco Liberty last night, and I've seen Trenton Walters 3 times now, and the first 2 he had 30 plus in both games, and it was because I just didn't see maybe he wasn't as a known commodity as he is now, but Sean Williams, coach of Prosper Rock Hill, clearly went into that game planning for Trenton and said, hey, we're going to get the ball out of his hands. We're going to deny him 94 feet. Credit to the Prosper Rock Hill guards doing a great job of denying him and not letting him get loose. And then every ball screen, they would trap him, and everybody knows how dangerous Trenton is off a ball screen. If you go under, he's going to knock down the shot. If you hedge it, he'll probably split it. He's if you switch it, you got a mismatch problem. So what they did is they just said, we're not going to deal with any of that. We're going to trap him, and we're going to make someone else beat us. And the method worked, and Prosper Rock Hill with an impressive round 1 game that was very competitive throughout.
and their first playoff victory as a program.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Congratulations to them. I also just
Can I
want to
give
give
a
it. Oh,
shout
go ahead.
out to Sean Williams? I said it before. He's a national championship winner when he was at Duncanville. He's a great young coach, and he game planned.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and Sean knows what it looks like for a kid to get going, and he wasn't going to let Trenton do that by any means. I think you said some things. Kobe Coleman, the freshman right there, stepped up and helped keep Liberty in it for as long as they could in that game, and he matured very quickly over the course of the season. So I'm excited to see him this summer.
Absolutely. Moving into the lower left quadrant of this bracket, a game that just stuck out to me was Forney over Joshua. Forney won 91-50. And that's
91.
Yeah, and that's a team with a lot of talent that has really flown under the radar. Nick Benet, Jaden Jefferson, they've got some pieces who can really score the ball, and they're going to be a tough out.
It's 9:00.
I saw that, and I'm just thinking, they're sneaky. They're really sneaky, and if you're not ready to play Coach Holloway and Forney, it's you're in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, just that whole quadrant.
That's 90. Oh, that's 91 points. So that's confidence going into the second round.
Yeah,
because that means you got a lot of production from a lot of people. And playoffs is about, do you feel good right now to make a run? And if they can see that ball go to the hoop, scoring 91 points, that benefits them well.
Yeah, and I think just that whole quadrant, it's kind of wide open still. I mean, you saw Midlothian win. They're going to face Sulphur Springs. I don't think there was any surprises there of who's moving forward. And so, going into the upper right side of the of 5A Region 2, let's hit on Dallas Wilson. If you can cue that one up, Mass.
Oh yeah, Dallas Wilson with a huge win last night, thanks to a big shot by Deshaun Jagwan. I actually got the pleasure of coaching him at the Colony High School. But we took this video from Texas Recruited and Craig Smith. It was a pretty awesome shot. Check it out.
Appreciate you, Craig.
Big time shot, big time atmosphere. Wow.
I'm going to say this.
Set right there out of the sideline, attack, and he knew where his shooter was in the corner. Yep. They're going for the win there.
I think what needs to also be touched on again is Corey Johnson and how hard he works and how that program is always moving in the right direction, but now that he is there, he's going with the pieces that's given to him, and he's a junkie, and he wants this team to win and be at their best, and he's a well prepared coach.
Moving down, another segment of area playoffs ain't gonna be sweet. Frisco Memorial and Lancaster in the second round. Goodness gracious, man! They both handle business. Frisco Memorial defeat the Colony, and Lancaster defeats Newman Smith, and now this is what you have right here. And I mean, second round of playoffs. Goodness gracious!
These are two real contenders.
Yeah,
having to play in the second round. That's tough, man.
I mean, credit to Texas basketball as a whole for the fact that this is what we see right away.
There's little pockets. If you look at and study the brackets, there's little pockets of second round games, which we'll continue to touch on, that are eye popping in the sense of like, man, that would be a great regional.
Yeah.
So, following, creeping down to the bottom part of this quadrant, same thing, Dallas Highland Park, my pick to get to regionals. They're always, seems like they're there every year. Red Oak, they were the number one seed. Mount Pleasant comes from they finished second behind Sulphur Springs and Jacksonville. Jacksonville's always athletic and runs and jumps at you, and so kind of the matchups once again that we probably expected.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to my head coach from high school, Dave Peeler. It's weird calling him that. I call him Coach Peeler. But he had 395 wins, and he is the all-time wins leader at Highland Park, and he's 5 away from 400. Big deal. Way to go, Coach. Proud of you, man.
So he could get it this year. He can get 500 this year, huh?
He technically could.
501.
501. I think that'd be pretty sweet if he got to 400 this year. So, but yeah, I mean, again, 401. Again, very tough this region's very tough. If you get out of it, you're battle tested. I'll just say that.
I mean, as we continue to go, let's Memorial Lancaster right there. Let's see if there's a bigger game in the second round as we look through these brackets. But right now, that's the one right there that looks huge.
It's in the lead, definitely. That's going to wrap up Region 2, 5A. We're back talking 5A Region 3. I'm going to go ahead and flash that bracket here, and I think Timmins kick us off.
Yeah, I mean, Kingwood Park advances right there against Magnolia West. Right off the bat, Austin Northeast, coached by John Smith in his first year, get a huge win over Pflugerville, who has a lot of history in the UIL playoffs. So congrats on him for advancing right there for a big win. Mass, I know you talked about Katy Paytow yesterday before the game. Speak on them a little bit.
They're a team that I'm just keeping my eye on. They're definitely a sleeper. Montgomery Lake Creek's a really solid first-round opponent. That's a really, really tough game. And, they take care of business, and they got a Maynard team who's going to defend you, who's going to guard you, who's going to make life tough on you. But Paytow has so much talent, and they just fly under the radar, and I just don't get it. I love a good backcourt, and Trevor Frank and Cameron Ingram, and then they got some bigs, Abu Kamara and what is this? Escaping my name? Charles Chuckwu. Yeah, he's great, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Timmins.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You want to add to that?
Oh, well, I was just going to say that they're marching, and I think this is one of the more balanced brackets when you look at the quadrants, and so it's as you step into that Fort Bend Marshall Crosby game, we talked about, is there a bigger game than Lancaster Memorial? My goodness, in two cities. I wish I could be at two places at once. This is heavyweight.
This is the matchup I asked for in our last GASO cast as we previewed the full bracket. Guards win and guards perform, and this is, a chance to build legacies here with Crosby and Fort Bend Marshall. That's just going to be explosion from the jump. And, like I said, I wish I could be everywhere. I'm going to try to get a filmer in Houston. So if you're watching this, hit me up. But yeah,
you're talking about two guards that can float for 40+ points at any given time.
Casual.
It comes
three.
Defense.
Yeah, like casual.
I'm going to say 3. Yeah.
Oh, Chris Marshall too.
I'm going to say Chris Marshall could do it too. But yeah, when you're looking at Pete Haggerty and Jalen Lowe go at it, they could just be trading buckets for who knows how long.
Who wants to play
defense?
defense?
I think it's going to be really special.
Yeah.
And just here we go. Both those players right there, if we're just talking individual performances, both those players think that they can carry their team to a deep run in the playoffs. And area playoffs ain't sweet because one of them stopping after that game. So huge game right away that I'm excited for.
All right, let's go to the top right quadrant. Okay, a nice game, a really, really tough. Second round ain't sweet. I don't want to steal that from you, but I like it. Pflugerville Weiss and A&M Consolidated. You got some good guards. You got some good bigs, and you got Zion Ali, tough, coached well. A&M Consolidated. That's going to be a matchup you're going to want to keep your eye on if you're in that area. We don't know where the location is yet, but if you want a really competitive basketball game, I look at this slate and I know that's going to be one. I know for sure.
I agree.
Moving down,
looking at Austin Anderson.
Yeah,
looking down at Austin Anderson, I'm getting a win over Pflugerville Connolly. Just a senior backcourt, Mike Wagner, Jack Francis right there has them in the second round versus New Caney.
Yeah, that's a pretty it just looks differently when you see all these names down there. And I've mentioned before, Austin Anderson's going to take their swing of getting to regional any way they can, and then it's just because they move back up to 6A next year. And so Coach Pittsford over there at Austin Anderson has them moving in the right direction. This is a very interesting group of 4.
Yeah, and I'll move down to the bottom right quadrant where you look at it, and those are 4 very, very relevant teams. Baytown, Goose Creek Memorial, got 23 last night from Darius Woodson. Got a almost pretty close to a triple double by Sam Bradford. And they go against Chance White, and then Beaumont United. Man, they had a special run last year, and they're going to be tested all the way there again this year.
Are they flying under the radar a little bit?
A little bit. Too much.
I mean, I don't know if that's just due to lack of media coverage in Beaumont specifically.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you don't want a Beaumont United coming in here with any more of a chip on their shoulder than they have. And then if we're looking at Fort Bend Hightower, is that a typo, 105 points?
DT doesn't make typos.
Yeah. No, well, yeah.
That might have been one of the –
No, I mean, shoot. 105 tells
win.
me that Fort Bend Hightower wants to get into this game and just keep on going. And so that could be a very interesting, a very high-powered, fast-paced game from the tip.
Yeah, and when you get into playoffs, it's also about the coaching, as I've mentioned. And is Beaumont United, does David Green need a lot of time to prepare? I mean, when you go from Friday to Tuesday and then Tuesday to Friday, he's one of the best game managers in understanding. And so same thing with Stephen Woods. I mean, for Hightower, that might have been the biggest win in terms of points differential. If I'm just kind of glancing, so yeah, maybe Beaumont United. They like the underdog. They like not being talked about a whole ton, because I think also it's expected of them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's going to wrap up
Final
that 5A
region.
What's up?
Final thoughts on this region before we wrap it up.
I like
Marshall Crosby must watch, huh?
Beaumont United's flying on the radar somehow.
Yeah,
a lot of balance.
Yeah,
I think this region will start to take more shape after the area round.
I agree. In that bottom right quadrant, that is one to watch because there's a lot of talent in that one. So, moving on to 5A Region 4 has been really, really good, really, really balanced, and a lot of people took care of business. I'm going to flash the bracket here, and y'all kick us off.
Yeah, looking right there at the top, McCollum and Lanier, two San Antonio teams right there. And I was following this game on Twitter most of the evening, and Lanier pulls it out. Shout out to H.E. Toro's program director and Lanier alumni, Lou Martinez, who's probably excited about that win. I know McCollum had the lead at halftime. Credit to Chris Villarreal, who I think had around 25. Great career for him, but Lanier gets it done. And now they take on a Buda Johnson team who got a big win, Blue, over Leandro Rouse.
Yeah, and Buda Johnson beat Rouse without their best shooter having a great game. Jackson Vandergaard was in foul trouble. He wound up with only 9 points, but that's a guy that can shoot the NBA three. He's not going to beat you off the dribble, but he gets real creative. Nazar Mahmoud, 17 points, but it turns out it wasn't his greatest game. And Buda Johnson took advantage of that. Kind of moving down the line here, San Antonio Jefferson and Bernie both advance.
Yeah, when you have over 25 wins, you're a pretty good team. And both these teams come in sporting really, really strong records. And then you got some firepower with San Antonio Jefferson, Joseph Rincon, and Aaron San Miguel, who can really, really fill up the stat sheet. And then Bernie Champion, just a super balanced group, kind of spearheaded by Jesse Part. And they just have a bunch of guys who can beat you. And that is a really good recipe for winning in the playoffs. So I'm really intrigued by this matchup.
No, absolutely. Shooters to space the floor with Bernie Champion, with a lead guard, Jesse Pert, that's able to attack and get people involved. Moving down, looking at the bottom left of this region, Corpus Christi Flower Bluff. I actually attended middle school there, so shout out to them for getting that win. A little tidbit there. They'll take on a Brownsville Pace team that put up 80. In Blue, you kind of like them, huh?
Yeah, went 14-0 in their district. Their main guy, Christian Guajardo, had 25 points. That's just an explosive offense with some length and out on the wings, and they're fast, and they've played a lot of really good teams throughout the early part of the year, and then going through their district undefeated. So that's kind of a team just to keep an eye on.
Shout out to McAllen and Victoria West for getting 20-plus point wins. They will face off in the second round, and that information we'll forward on Twitter. Moving up to the top right quadrant, one of your contender or sleeper picks, Timmins, team that people may be sleeping on, San Antonio Vets.
Yeah, I think I honestly helped propel their season because when I filmed them against Somerset, they got ran out of the gym in Christmas break. And from there on, they've been on a roll, and they're feeling good. One of those teams that's closed the season on a high note, gets the first-round win against Georgetown, and they get to advance, and they get to play San Antonio Breckenridge. So, sleeper pick still in play, and we'll see what they do in this round.
Liberty Hill gets the win against Alamo Heights, and then you get San Antonio Southside with a tight win over San Antonio Sam Houston.
And it was tight. And looking here, I followed that one as well on Twitter. Gabe Penosa for Southside at 31. So he needed all 31 right there to get a close 6-point win in that bi-district matchup.
And by the narrowest of margins, Laredo Martin gets the win over Corpus Christi King. Blue, I know you were talking to them earlier today as well.
Well, when you look at there was a freshman that put them over the top with 24 seconds, knocks down 2 free throws, down by 1. Freshman George Martinez, who really could be the district's MVP. If it falls that way, I don't know, but they're a really tough team, and they zoned. Martin zoned Corpus Christi King, just kind of stop and hold off their athletes a little bit and kind of force them to shoot from the outside. They were up by 17 at one point. Martin was, wow. And then all of a sudden you had the King take over the lead, and it took a freshman to beat him. There was about 5 seconds left, and the inbounds pass was tipped with 2 seconds. Was tipped by Martin defender, and that was it. They were able to escape.
And they will play McAllen Memorial in the second round. And then Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial, head coach Billy White Jr., his second stint there, brought him back to the playoffs in his first year of his second stint. We got the chance to see them earlier this year, and they do a good job, led by a phenomenal little guard, Aiden Guara. Does a lot of really good things. And they'll be playing Sharyland Pioneer in the second round. Again, information, follow us on at TexasHoops GASO. We'll be getting out tons of those games. Final thoughts, fellas?
No, I think a region that's pretty wide open at this point. I think it's going to take another round or two to start figuring it out.
I think the best second round matchup of this bracket, San Antonio Jefferson, Bernie champion.
I agree.
Yep.
I agree.
All
right, that wraps up 5A Region 4. Moving on, we are hitting 6A. We are 6A Region 1, and I'm going to kick it off by showing you a game winner hit by Wyatt Bell, Keller over Euless Trinity.
It was as if he had a broomstick in front of him.
Yeah, rocking atmosphere in College Park. I'm going to flash this bracket so we can get talking about it. Like I said, though,
isn't that killer though, Mass? Is that killer? Yeah. That is just it's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
Winning group, man. It was a tough win over Euless, but they got it done, and they got a tough one in the second round against Odessa Permian.
Odessa Permians, they have bigs. They got big, strong athletes that are bouncy, and they have a really good point guard. So, a tough matchup once again for Keller as they kind of try to march to regionals.
And Odessa Permian, Odessa Permian. I mean, was it 2 years ago when they beat Richardson?
Yes, they're starting their sophomore year. Yep.
Yeah, so they got some stuff brewing over there. So they know how to advance in this state tournament.
A very consistent program.
Yeah, don't sleep on them. Alert. North Crowley, 28-6, knocking off a Northwest Eaton team by 30.
Tommy Brackle.
He
just knows how to win this time of the year.
And then Odessa gets the win over El Paso Eastwood. Moving on, South Grand Prairie Blue. You made a great comment about them earlier that I just want you to repeat. Like it just defines them.
we count them out and we wait for them to slip. And Brandon Bennett, the head coach there, just has those guys. They're a machine over there. So them having to face McKinney, you just can't give it one way or another. But you better just be ready. I mean, McKinney has to be in dogfights every single weekend, every single week, every single game.
And they play McKinney, who Timmins, you and I were talking about earlier. You made the comment. Everybody seems to like kind of be down on them. Don't be down on them. Denton Geyer's really good. Like to be down on McKinney means you're discounting Denton Geyer. And McKinney is as deadly as anybody when they're on. So that's going to be a great second round playoff game. And go ahead.
Yeah, as much as last Thursday night that we witnessed was the playoff atmosphere for a play-in of a 1-2, who's going to get it. That was just a warm-up game. I mean, we do not count McKinney out.
Moving down.
Bottom of this region starting to really shape up. Richardson Allen, great win for Allen last night against Flower Mound Marcus. They'll advance to play Richardson, which Richardson handled business as we thought. 97 points, very impressive, means that they're getting a lot of contributions from their role players. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, that's gonna be a very exciting part of that region for sure.
Moving to the top right of the region, we have Friendship with a big win, and Friendship is 30-3. They've beaten some really good teams, and Javis Miller, Tracy Godfrey led the team last night for the playoff game, and they just keep getting it done. And I've been following them a little bit, and they've got the vibe of like, hey, no one really knows who they are, and then they'll show up and beat you. So
Godfrey I haven't seen him in person, but he looks very impressive on some of their highlights.
Absolutely. Keller Central with the win over Chisholm Trail. Should be a good little matchup there. And then we move down to El Paso Americas with the win over San Angelo Central Blue.
Well, yeah, El Paso Americas, I'll take this 33-2. So you know how to win. And another team where they're going to be taking on Byron Nelson, led by big time guard Finley Bizjack. El Paso America is going to be coming in. You don't know much about us. Can their style of play give Bizjack and Byron Nelson problems? And we'll see that here in the second round.
Yeah, I just want to throw in real quick. Our staff has seen Finley Bizjack, I know, for 4 times for sure. It's probably been more, but he's never scored less than 25 points every time we've been there. The guy just gets it done. He puts it in the basket. He's so fun to watch, and he's just relentless in attacking, trying to score. He just has a scorer's mentality. When that's, you look that word up, Finley Bizjack's picture will be right there in the dictionary. So,
and and Coach Curran gives him the ball. I think everybody on that team knows that he needs it.
Yeah, he makes it very simple. Hey, Finley, go make stuff happen, dude. And then they got shooters around him who can really make some plays.
Yep.
Plano Richardson, Lake Highlands. Oh, man.
Let's talk about it. I saw both of those teams this week. Those were my games. Plano, impressive. 32 and if you're 32-0, I still feel like people weren't really talking about them, even with that record, as they were proving it throughout year after year. They played who was in front of them in that district. They went through it because that's who they had to play. I was very impressed with their win over Prosper. And guess what? We talk about a balanced team. Justin McBride gets them over that hump. All of a sudden, you're looking at a Lake Highlands Plano showdown that you just don't know who's going to win. It's probably going to be the must-see. Would you say that, Michael, coming up on Friday?
Yeah, because Ivan Hoopers will be there, so it's a must-see. And where's that game at? They just, as of right now, where is it?
It's at Lowe's Fieldhouse at 7 p.m., and I just want to add, like, at a foundational level, both of these teams do things very similarly. It starts with defense, and they defend, and their defense leads to their offense, and both have some star power on both sides, and that is going to be one awesome game.
Yeah, moving down.
Another awesome game.
Yeah, the winner of that game gets the winner of Denton Geyer and Arlington Martin. Geyer handles Louisville and advances. They're rolling, feeling very good after. That's when they had to play that game against McKinney. That was a physical matchup, and some teams might have just flipped. But the fact that Geyer played the game, won the game, gives them all the confidence in the world. I was at Arlington Martin last night versus their win versus Jesuit. They just make things tough, and they're just physical inside. Murky, hit some threes off offensive rebounds. You're going to need that physicalness to play with Kyron Lindsey inside. So I just think if Arlington Martin can keep the pace around the way they want to, they'll have a chance to win that game. But either way, very intriguing bottom right of this region.
And you sent a great video that I want to show of just like every playoff win is extremely tough to win. And so celebrating after that, I love it. So I'm gonna show Arlington Martin's locker room after the game. This is via their Twitter, and Coach Osborne's getting after it. So we'll see that. Lots of fun stuff, man.
Yeah.
Way to enjoy it.
Exactly. And it was like on paper, Arlington Martin, Dallas Jesuit probably wasn't the game of the night anywhere. But for the fact that, celebrate winning, because making the playoffs is a feat of itself. Winning the first round, all these are huge, huge wins for programs.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the score is. You don't have to go prove it by winning by 20 or 30.
Yeah.
So
just find a way to win. That's going to wrap up 6A Region 1. Moving on to 6A Region 2. I'm going to throw up the bracket. Blue, we had a doozy in the top left.
Yeah, this was one. DeSoto has played two halves of basketball. They were on fire early on in the year. They had to go through Duncanville, of course, and all the Waxahachie and Cedar Hill and everything. They had a play-in game just to get into fourth place last Friday. They win that. They go to Belton. Belton, who's number one in their district. I didn't know what kind of fight DeSoto might have had, and there you go. Richard Bacon working his magic, going to the second round. Going to play Wiley.
Heck yeah. Wiley gets a 1-point win over Rockwall. Tijan Singate hits a free throw for Wiley to end the game to win it. He also did a wonderful job on defense guarding Rockwall throughout the game, guarding some of their best players. Duncanville, take care of business. I don't think we're surprised at that one. They're going to be a tough matchup.
Rockwall Heath. Yeah, go ahead, Timmins.
They knock off a name of a team that I liked a few times I saw this year, so that's a really good win for them. Saw Rockwall Heath last year in the playoffs play Garland, so they've been here before. Now they get the opportunity to play Duncanville, which, like you said, is a tough matchup, but all you want to be doing is having an opportunity at this time of the year, and they have that.
Absolutely. Moving on down, I'll jump into the lower left half. Cy Ranch gets the win over Tomball Memorial. Aldi Nimitz 46 over Conroe Grand Oaks 44. So that's going to be a nice little matchup. And then Langham Creek with the upset over Klein. Blue, I know you talked to the associate athletic director about the side districts.
Yeah, well, Paulo Wally for Langham has been their go-to guy, and he's a football ECU signee, and he's built like Zion Williamson, and
absolutely.
So he put them on their back, and here we are in the second round, and it's just, hey, football players, the physicality, the mentality, and I'm sure they're going to try to ride him as far as they can.
Spring gets the win over Woodlands. Moving on, Mesquite Horn with a tough-fought game over Garland, Lakeview, Centennial up in the top right.
Yeah, Mesquite winds up winning by 7. They had a comfortable lead throughout. Centennial did get within 3 in the third quarter, but Bryson Smith for Mesquite Horn finished with 24 points. He's a district MVP. He helped lead Horn to a 12-0 district play. So no surprise that Coach Waddy's in the second round with his Mesquite Horns. Wow. Mesquite Horn.
Colleen Ellison with the tight win over Waxahachie. That Mesquite Horn, Colleen Ellison is going to be a really fun game to watch. A lot of good bodies, athleticism in that game. and they found a way to get it done over a really well coached Waxahachie team.
Yeah, that first round match with Waxahachie and Killeen Ellison just goes to show, tough districts had both those teams battle tested where, that's a really, really tough, probably most intriguing first round game in this region where you have Killeen Ellison who finished third in the district, but played a really, really tough district schedule, led by Jamiron Keller, gets the win over a well coached and a Waxahachie team that, probably surprised some teams and some people the way they finished in the district standings.
No doubt. Garland, ho-hum, just taking care of business everywhere they go. They get the win over North Mesquite, and then Killeen Harker Heights with a big win over Mansfield Lake Ridge, another really good team, battle-tested, and Harker Heights took care of business. So that Harker Heights-Garland game is going to be very, very interesting in the second round. And Timmins, we found a video this morning on one of our favorites to watch, CJ Evans from Central Texas Prospects, posted this video, and I want to play it for you real quick. Just watch CJ's pace. Yeah, CJ just set the assist record for the history of Harker Heights, and leading that team. They got a lot of talent on that group, and that Garland Harker Heights one is a very, very interesting matchup that I'm really curious to see who's going to come out on top on that one.
Yeah, you got to watch out for, of course, Zuby over there at Garland, and Aaron King, the Lamar. Zuby's going to Kansas. Aaron King is a football signee at Lamar that can really shoot the three.
Moving on down to the bottom right quadrant of the bracket, Spring Westfield with a big win over Conroe. Zion Pipkin with 25. They've been rolling all year, and that's a team that's just dangerous, man. They've got a lot of big wins under their belt.
Yeah, and as they continue to play, that's, obviously you have Duncanville in this region, but, I'm not going to look too far forward, but I would love to see Spring Westfield get their shot at Duncanville if everything happens and the bracket plays out that way.
Yep.
They've been so close many, many years with Billy Godfrey there. So, yeah, maybe this is it.
Klein Collins with the 3-point win over Bridgeland. The Woodlands College Park with the 3-point win over Aldine.
Yeah, Martez James, I saw on Twitter, sophomore at 21-15 for College Park. So I think this might be his first playoff game on varsity. So shout out to him for, making an impact right away. They'll get Cy Falls, who's been one of my favorites as we've been on these GASO casts. I just like their makeup, Josiah McWright, Tugler inside. I like what they can do. And they'll get College Park in the second round.
Major player. Any other thoughts on this region, fellas?
Duncanville, and then you got people chasing them. I think that's a thought, but also
you look and you have Duncanville there, and we have them favored to advance. If DeSoto can get by Wiley, I always like to see teams in the district get to play each other, get playoffs. I just think it makes it a lot more interesting. So I'd be curious about that matchup if it happens.
Yeah. Looking ahead, I'd like to see Spring Westfield, Cy Falls. I think could be a really, really fun regional game. But that's going to wrap up 6A Region 2. Moving on to 6A Region 3, I'm going to flash the bracket here. Started off with a bang, Fort Bend Elkins over Katy Cinco Ranch. And then Cy Creek, who has one of my favorite 2023s. I think he's extremely underrated. Corey Hadnot had another great game last night. Cy Creek and Fort Bend Elkins match up in that second round. That is going to be a game to watch in Houston. I really think Cy Creek has the horses to play with Elkins.
Yeah, then when you move further down right there with Katy Seven Lakes, if you look at the left side of the bracket, there was really some separation in scores here. And so Seven Lakes is going to take on Houston Bel Air. This is going to be, I think, maybe a little bit of a test for Houston Bel Air after rolling through their district pretty easily. So that's another key matchup. There's a lot of key matchups, I think, in Houston in general in this Region 3.
Yeah, I love this region so much.
Dickinson, 32-3, rolling.
Speed kills.
Golly, man. They got some dudes. I mentioned them in the previous GASO cast. I think Pearland's. I watched Pearland earlier this year, and they're really good. They're really well coached, and for Dickinson to just get out and take them down by 27. Wow, that's a big deal. Beaumont Westbrook with a win, so Dickinson and Westbrook will play in that second round. That time is already updated.
Yeah, Westbrook has some length inside that we need to watch for here in this second round. Dickinson's going to want to run and gun. Westbrook is too. However, there's some length that could disturb some of those easy transitional buckets in penetration for Dickinson.
Yeah, Shadow Creek and Humble Summer Creek both advanced. Shadow Creek got 48 points or close to 50 points combined between Sean Joseph and Cam Ambry. Cam Ambry puts that game away over Clear Springs with double-digit free throws late to advance them. Now they'll take on Summer Creek, Jalen Goodman, Jalen Johnson, two guards that can really get after it and guard. It'll be a very fun and interesting matchup, those two versus the backcourt of Shadow Creek.
Yep. Moving into the top right of the bracket, Cy-Fair with a big win over Houston Lamar. And then Katie Tompkins, Fort Bend Clements was one heck of a game. I heard a slugfest, and I saw Clements, and I've seen Katie Tompkins, and Clements does a really good job of they play such a tough brand of basketball, and they have a super soft Divine Ugochukwu who can really do some things. And Cy-Fair, Fort Bend Clements, going to be a fun one, second round.
Yeah, and they're going to go out and defend, and that proves it right there in the score. I mean, it is low scoring, and Fort Bend Clements, they have the length, like you said, and the size that they're going to go out there and compete. So we go to Houston Stratford right there with the win, and Katie May Creek.
Yeah, May Creek. Christian Jones, freshman, first playoff game, got it going in a great matchup versus TJ Ford Jr. Stars are born in the UIL state tournament, and May Creek has a couple freshmen there, and they get the big win to advance over Fort Bend Ridgepoint team that I really was impressed with this season.
Then you move on, Houston CE King, led by Tyshawn Archie, this little shifty guard who can really just get it done in so many ways. He's so fast. He knows how to play off a ball screen. He led the team with 23. And then I watched the Pearland Dawson Clearbrook game on film the other day, and Smurf Millender was absolutely sensational. I'll talk about him, I think, in our newsletter next. But he had 31 points. He was absolutely phenomenal. But Dawson just kept coming. They got a lot of pieces, and then they got a new piece that I saw them in the Spring Creek tournament, and then I saw them yesterday, and I was like, wait, who's that guy? And as a sophomore, Charles Anderson, 6'7", 235. He really made an impact with his size, his rebounding ability, and then showed a couple flashes with him getting up and putting the ball down. So that
and it really shows you a lot of that Mark Barry team where Tyree Davis goes off and goes for 16, I think, in the first half, finishes with 20. So the ball's being shared, roles are defined, and they're very versatile players in general out there for Mark Barry at Pearland Dawson.
Yeah, and then to finish out this region, in our last GASO cast, I mentioned if Atascocita can get hot from three, well, guess what? They did. I don't know what's more impressive, shooting 44% or hitting 17 of them. But either way, they're both the right numbers for that. So they get the big win. Blue, I know
it's impressive that they went 30, that they shot 39 of them. David. Like I've mentioned before, David knows what they are, what they aren't. They had 30 total rebounds as a team. They had collectively 24 assists. They're sharing the ball. I'm sure David Martinez is going to fix any flaws he sees in that defense, that offense, and it's going to be corrected throughout every round going forward. And of course, Clear Falls, Orlando Horton,
18 points, 8 assists, looking very comfortable in that offense. Gets a big 6-point win against Straight Jesuit, who's another team I know Matt liked when you saw them.
Yeah.
And I think going into that matchup in general, it's going to see what the supporting cast is how much they're going to be able to help Orlando against that 94 feet of press from Atascocita.
Wouldn't want to play against it.
Absolutely not. But I think Orlando Horton is up for the task, though, as a quick guard that can make his way through that.
Yeah, very talented. That's going to wrap up 6A Region 3. We got one more coming at you. Come on, guys. We got this. We're killing it. Coming in on our last region, 6A Region 4. I'm going to throw it up on the screen and we can get started. I know we had a milestone with San Antonio Reagan last night, Blue.
Yeah, John Hurst, 450th win. Why not do it in the playoffs? This team right here is looking forward to their matchup against Round Rock Westwood, who knocked off San Marcos. Not that it should be any surprise the way Westwood had been playing all year, but when you do it against a really great athletic team like San Marcos, and you're able to march forward, and now you're playing a Reagan team that is very similar to yours, that's part of the playoff.
I was surprised. So, I mean, even more credit to Westwood for that win. I'll say what it is. I thought San Marcos would win that game. So credit to a big win for Westwood. Let's give them more credit than that,
Moving on down, Converse Judson and Aris Brandon had a huge win. GASO Tim Littlefield was at the game. He gave me a great rundown and just said did Aneris things constantly. Just he finds a way to win. That kid is just a really, really, really good player. And then Lake Travis, you said you were going to be following this one all night, Timmins. You sent me a video that I needed to watch of Hudson Greer, so we thought we should share it here. So we're gonna play that.
Great.
Cavs down 5, looking to push the issue. Looking for a little sizzle, a little spice. Here comes Hudson Greer to flush it home. Oh!
Hudson Greer's a 2025. A lot of talent. I got to see him at the beginning of the year. I think I saw his first varsity game. And big win over Round Rock.
Yeah, senior-led Round Rock team, good for Lake Travis. Now, that's a big second-round match between Judson and Lake Travis there, for sure.
Also want to give credit to Dave Campbell's Texan Live for that video.
Yep.
Moving on down, Weslaco with a big win over Edinburgh. San Antonio Brennan, Laredo Alexander. It's got to be a little shaky knowing you're going in with a freshman point guard, but hey, man, Kingston Fleming's handled it. Got a big win.
Yeah, him and Cody Calgo get it done, and if they want to make a deep run, they're going to mature and overnight, and, they have a favorable next round matchup. So, good for them to get one under their belt just to know what playoff basketball is like.
Absolutely. Edinburgh Villa with the win over Brownsville Hannah, and then Laredo United. Connor Castro, he's got an eye for the camera.
This. Sorry. I was just going to say that in this one, the first time that Laredo United led at any point was with 30 seconds in the game.
Wow.
They get a steal. They get the layup with 30 seconds left. Next play on a flop. It was called a flop. Technical. O'Connor goes to the line, makes one out of two, gets the ball back. So now they're up. Laredo United's up by 1, but eventually gets a loose ball and a foul to clinch it to a 3-point lead. And I think, what, in this favors obviously not just Laredo United, but Brennan, who is on this side of the bracket to have to go through the Valley teams. But if Laredo United, Coach Ramos, he's a very seasoned veteran going through the playoffs, and every year I think that they're in here, they're gonna, like you said, Castro's gonna get his shots. The team shares the ball, so it's going to be a makeup here. But Brennan, Coach Cowgill told me the other day, he likes where he stands in this bracket.
Absolutely.
Moving on to the top right, Austin Westlake taking care of business. San Antonio Wagner taking care of business. Are y'all excited for that, my fellow San Antonians?
I might have had some daggers thrown at me from San Antonio people.
It's 12 o'clock.
It is.
Wagner gets the big win. That's a fun game. Obviously they handled business by 20, but you have Austin Nunez at 46 or 47, I believe, and then Kendall Dow going to Lubbock Christian at 41. So fun game, a lot of scoring. I talked to assistant coach DeMarcus Richardson at San Antonio Wagner, and all he said is he didn't want to look too far into the playoffs in the bracket. He just said he wanted his guys to be playing good and get that first one under their belt, and I think they did. Eddie Fernandez, high double digits there. So, they're rolling. Austin Nunez, probably one of the most gifted and talented, maybe even the best player in this region right here. You have him going up against a well-oiled machine in Austin Westlake. And, 46, 47 points. That's my dog on the camera. Sorry. 46, 47 points means he's rolling and he's ready to see that Westlake team for a great game.
And also this game, most importantly, I think when you see Westlake versus Wagner, you immediately think of powerhouses in that region, and you immediately think of a regional semifinal. But this year we're gonna get in the second round. Someone's going home, and that's God.
That's what, baby. Area playoffs ain't sweet.
A really sneaky second round game that I'm really looking forward to. This is probably going to be the one that I'm following most on Friday night. Round Rock Stony Point versus San Antonio Clark. There's a lot of talent to be had on the floor. Two very balanced teams, two very well coached teams. I think there's going to be some fireworks in this one. And then San Antonio Clark, like I said, Jordan Mason with a big game per usual. Let's move along. That's what Jordan Mason does.
Absolutely. Laredo Nixon gets a big win over Taft. And anytime a Valley team can beat a San Antonio team, that's a big win for that program, that community. Harlingen gets a win over Edinburgh North. And then as we finish out this bracket, Jalen Crocker Johnson, 27 points, 25 rebounds, and a win for San Antonio Warren. He's one of the most productive players in this region. Kind of reminds me of the way Kyron Lindsey's productive on the boards and scoring inside up in Denton. So, look out for San Antonio Warren for anybody trying to be able to stop Crocker Johnson inside.
Absolutely. And then you get to round out the bracket.
South. Yep. With that win. Thoughts on this region?
I think that, as you kind of look in the upper left hand, those remaining four of Reagan, Westwood, and Judson, Lake Travis, that's pretty interesting when you have those four, because when we look over across from it in the upper right, are we going to see another Clark, Austin, Westlake matchup? Are we going to see Wagner, a Wagner, Clark, Wagner, Stony Point? There's just so many question marks here. Region 4 is very interesting.
Yeah, my thoughts right away preseason. I had Westlake, Wagner, Clark as three of the favorites in the region, and now as we talk about UIL state playoffs, they ain't sweet. All of them can't come out, because as you see the way this is, the winner of Westlake and Wagner gets the winner of Stony Point and Clark. So this region is about to tell us a lot very quickly by the end of the weekend. So I'm just excited for these games.
Absolutely, and like I said, that's going to wrap up this entire GASO cast, where we broke down all the regions for you. Make sure that you're following us on Twitter at TexasHoops GASO, on Instagram at TexasHoops GASO, and then join our free community. We've got newsletters going out. We run events all summer. We love what we do in publicizing all the kids and teams and players and coaches, and we want you to join our community. And make sure that you are paying attention to the playoffs. We are putting out all these resources to make sure that you are informed, you know what's going on, and you can even print the brackets if you go to greatamericanshootout.com. So we appreciate your time. Oh, go ahead, Timmins.
I'll say I appreciate the viewership is growing on the GASO cast. Like I said, we do this to talk about the players and stuff like that. We want to keep it fresh for y'all. But, we get on these GASO casts every single week and just are excited to just talk hoops. And, thank y'all for growing with us. And we're excited to continue to do this for y'all.
I know. All right, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you.